I was struggling. I am struggling sometimes still. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to my channel. I'm so glad that you're here. I just wanted to take this time to talk about the struggle of being here at Harvard and how far I've come in the last 3.5 years since I first began. Honestly, I am a completely different person than how I started off here at Harvard University, and I'm eternally grateful for that. I can't tell you how difficult my first year was. I don't think I've ever gone into detail about that. But it wasn't the glitz and glam of being in an Ivy League school. Very much it was the intense hard work. It was sleepless nights doing work. It was the constant worry of, am I doing enough? Am I enough? Putting a lot of my value into my work. And it caused an insane amount of sadness and anger and frustration, and seasonal depression was basically what I went through my entire first year at Harvard University. And it's something that a lot of people go through, and I've experienced it with other friends going through it. And I'm so grateful for my path through Harvard these last 3 years, which has not just been me struggling in the thick of it, but finding community, finding my people, looking out for myself, and finally taking the time to reflect on what I needed in that situation. And not being in there right now, I can tell you 120,000%, it is much better when you take the time to figure out who you are and what you want to be before jumping into any transition in your life. And I think that's exactly what I was missing. So today I'm gonna go through 3 really essential things that helped me out of that place back then in the time of transition, coming from undergrad to Harvard University. And just to give you a sense of the fact that if you are in a place where you don't truly know if you even want to be there, if you're in a place that is drawing you down, that is really sucking a lot of your life and your energy and your happiness and your joy, I'm praying for you and also hoping that these tips are what help you out of that place. And they're not going to be the only thing that help you out of that place, but they're a really good starting point, and they're exactly what I needed to get to where I am today. A little bit of background before I begin. So my name is Scala. I didn't even say that. I am at this Graduate School of Design studying for my Master's in Design Studies, and my first year is actually in the architecture program. I went straight through. So from undergrad, I did 4 years of architecture craziness. If you're an architecture student or an architect, you know. And then I did a year, went to Harvard for the Master of Architecture, which was a 4-year program at the time, 3.5-year program at the time. And I went into my first year excited but really nervous, trying to figure out what I want to do with my life, and thinking architecture was the path. And I really found myself drawing back into my first year undergrad, where everything is new and everything's uncertain. But I realized I didn't actually enjoy the work that I was doing. I was just doing it. I was like slaving away, because in architecture school and various master's programs, you're really just work. Work is all you're doing. You came here for a reason. So that's what you're up to. And I really found myself lost in that, really doing work that did not incorporate the things, the people for focus, community focus, really practically oriented design work that I felt that I was beginning to do in undergrad. So I kind of felt like I started from zero. And at the same time, while you don't have time to do anything else, you're just focusing on this one thing that's all consuming. And it's like, this is my work, this is my life, this is my play, this is my rest. There's no such thing as anything else but this work. And I was drowning. I was absolutely drowning. And I was telling everyone that I was drowning. Honestly, I was someone who I like to express how I'm feeling, / I can't hide it in my face. So my family knew, professors knew, fellow students knew, and I really tried to use it as a way of like conversation, like how can we make this better? And a lot of people were extremely helpful with that. But at the end of the day, it was my decision to leave the architecture program that changed everything. And then my subsequent decision to take a gap year that changed everything for me. And I would not have been able to get to that point of switching my program or that point of taking the gap year without these 3 tips. So let's just jump right in, and I hope that they're extremely helpful for you as well. First tip is don't give up on the small goals. This is something that I wish I had kept in mind, especially my first year. Your why. What is your why in doing the thing that you are doing right now? That big picture thing, that really intense work grind that you're in right now. What was the whole point? What were the small wins, the small goals that you had hoped to achieve? For me, the goal of going to architecture school wasn't just to become an architect. That is so broad. But I remember thinking, I want to help people. I was really involved with Habitat for Humanity, and I was like, I just want to help people. I want to have conversations that no one's having in different places. So I started doing research in Nigeria for affordable housing, and the small wins for me have been to make sure that I'm constantly learning in that space. I've really tried to write my papers, even if it's not a class that's specifically Africa focused, about Africa development, so that way I could have that conversation and bring it to my classes. And those were small wins when I'm in the thick of this program or in the thick of this work that I really don't even know if I want to do anymore. At least I could find the good in those little moments. Maybe for you, are you connecting with certain people who are doing the thing that you have thought of been doing in the past? Have you scheduled that coffee with that professor and gotten their insights? Have you started writing your blog that you've always wanted to write about and talk about the experience that you're having right now, good or bad? What are those small little wins that help you realize your why, your initial, reason for doing this? And that'll help you, I think, get back to the center of what you were doing in the first place. And for me, writing about Nigeria and writing about emerging markets really reminded me that I don't just care about the building itself. I care about the people who are in the whole neighborhood that, is made up of these buildings. And that's where my interests lie the most. And just a side tip to this is don't be afraid of sharing the half thought out ideas. Half-baked ideas are the best ideas to share, because you never know who's listening, who wants to help you, or who's also interested in that and just wants to have a conversation. You never know the business partner that you're going to meet by telling them about such and such activity or event or blog that you want to write or anything. Because I mean, that's probably one of the biggest joys of being here at Harvard, is people just have these big ideas and they're willing to share them and start community. And in that, you begin to build your network of also resources, of people that you can go to, of events that people thought about you to go to, or events that you want to go to yourself. So I highly recommend sharing the half-baked thoughts while you're looking for those small wins. Second tip, which actually should be the first tip, is self-reflection. Do not forego reflecting and thinking about the places that you're in right now and where you want to be in the future and where you were in your past. So you can also be grateful for how far you've come. I cannot tell you how much journaling every single day has changed my life. And personally, I don't just journal talking about what is happening in my day. I actually have a prayer journal. So I'm telling God and thanking Him for the wins, expressing my sorrow about the failures. And I'm just constantly in this mind of what has happened, the big things and the small things that have just made me think, that have made me want to, pursue something more, or ask for the guidance and help to pursue something else. That is actually the number one reason why I decided to change my program. It was in genuine prayer, in my full honest journal, writing down the things that have made me think and made me excited about my life, and be able to go back and say, hey, this is still so exciting to me. I remember this journal entry from 3 months ago, and look at me now. I'm not fully in that space, but that is still where I want to be, It kind of re-emphasizes the idea of having a why statement, or a why, just generally thinking about what you want to accomplish and achieve in the space that you're in right now. And I cannot, guys, I cannot let you leave this video without encouraging you to just reflect on your life, regardless of how you do it. It does not have to be journaling. You don't have to write a single thing if you don't want to. You don't have to even keep it for your records. I know people record things. That's an option if you want to, with voice memos. But even if it's just taking the end of the day or the end of the week to say, hey, what what happened? Like you forget, I mean, I forget the thing that I ate in the morning, like that whatever I had for breakfast that morning. Could you imagine reflecting and having this, one bad moment ruin the entire week when so many beautiful things that you just forgot along the way happened? That is probably one of the biggest, that's a main reason why I'm a proponent of journaling, so you can go back and reflect on them. But even if you just take the time in your day to say, hey, well, it has been a beautiful week and this thing happened that was really great. And it's been a little difficult, like and this thing happened that I want to work through, that I want to get better at. I want to be able to reconcile. Like those are really important moments for you to build yourself up as a human being, but also for your professional and personal development generally. And tip number 3 is to step away. And I did this in a big way. I took a whole gap year and I explored. I took a step away from school. I took a step away from Boston, I took away from Harvard, from family even. I went to India. You've probably heard this many times if you're on my channel. If not, you can take a look at the video above. But I highly recommend taking any kind of step away that you can. And I've been trying to incorporate this in my semester. Like even when I'm writing a paper, we all get roadblocks in various things, whether it's our day-to-day work or it's in writing, it's in our studies, it's in whatever. Make sure that you're constantly reminding yourself that it's okay to take a break and refresh. Like even if it's putting a paper away for like 2 days, if you start early enough, that is. Let's not procrastinate. Like putting the paper away for like 2 days and coming back to it with a fresh mind and knowing that you can now like maybe write something a little bit different, write something a little bit better. Giving yourself the space to think, honestly. Something that I really valued and what I term a step away is going to ask someone else for their advice or their perspective on something that I'm struggling with or kind of stuck on. So whether it be like whether I should be in this program, I've talked to many a mentor, many a friend, but the same for my classes where I'm just feeling stuck on a concept or I just feel like I'm not enough, Sometimes I feel like I'm just not getting it in this class, something like that. I go to the office hour, talk to a professor maybe in an adjacent field or in a school nearby, email them and say, hey, I know that you're in such and such industry. I'm really interested in it, but I'm really struggling in this class. Can you give me some perspective? And I think that's a great way of stepping outside of yourself, maybe a little bit out of your comfort zone by meeting someone new, but also just like thinking in a completely different way. The perspective that you get from other people, especially like industry professionals with your students or higher ups when you're entry level, that is something that is so invaluable. And I think everyone should really be doing that in any level or in any field that they're in. So use that as your opportunity to take a step away. And even if it's honestly something completely different, you're in a different industry completely, talk to those people. That's your step away. Take the extra vacation time. Make sure you're taking your days off. Like those are also points that, I shouldn't have to tell you to do that, but American culture forces us to work extra hard and to overwork, honestly. So wherever you can get your break, wherever you can get your peace, wherever you can get a breath, I want to encourage you to take that opportunity. So guys, these are the tips that have carried me throughout my semester, that have carried me throughout my last 3.5 years here at Harvard. And I'm on to my last half, my final semester coming up. And I just want to thank you again for following along my entire journey. And I really hope and pray that these tips are helpful for you. Just remember to appreciate the small wins. Take time for reflection and step back whenever you need to. And I can guarantee that even if you're still not in the right place that you want to be in the next like 2 or 3 years, you will get there slowly. And it just takes the commitment to really preparing yourself to be there, and taking those steps. I really think it's so important. And I am glad that I can share these tips. I'm glad that I can share my life with you, even if these aren't the tips that you need right now. The fact that you're here and you can listen and I can share, It's also helping me grow as a person. So please comment below what you got from this video. Comment below maybe what other tips that you would give someone in these spaces of struggling. And yeah, let's help each other out. Let's build a space where we all can share and, become professionals to live a good and beautiful life. I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Thanks.